Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. Some of the categories won't have the updated nominees for the long list of some of the things like Best Documentary and Best International Feature, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyways. I'll update those in the next one. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to my Oscar predictions. I'm sorry I didn't get the list out in January. I was really busy, but we're back with February. There's been a lot of precursors, a lot of new information. So let's get into all of our Oscar predictions for this year's Academy Awards. For Best Picture, I think my winner is still Nomadland. It was Nomadland before, still is now. Even though I think it's become clear so far that it's a two-horse race between it and the Trial of Chicago 7. Nomadland is the most highly praised film of the year, has critical acclaim all across the board, and it seems like an important film that Oscars might feel worthy of getting the win. At the same time, The Trial of Chicago 7 is also a film that the Academy might view as even more important and might even be better than Nomadland in a lot of their views. And it's also an easier film to enjoy overall compared to Nomadland, which is why I think it's between those two. I hopefully think they'll give it to Nomadland. I saw it at the premiere, so it'll be really cool to say I saw the Best Picture winner at the premiere of it at TIFF. Behind that, I think Mank is still a lock for a nomination, along with Minari, Promising Young Woman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and One Night in Miami. Behind those two, I think that Judas and the Black Messiah and News of the World are vying for that last spot, assuming there's around 8 to 9 nominees. It could be both, could be only one of them. News of the World has been doing a little bit better than most people thought it would. It's been getting a good amount of precursors. Helena Zengel has gotten 2 nominations, both at the SAGs and the Critics' Choice, for her performance. So it's been getting more praise than people thought of, and it's a movie that audience and critics seem to enjoy. Judas and the Black Messiah, though, premiering in Sundance was a big hit. Everyone seems to love it. People say Daniel Kaluuya is great, Lakeith Stanfield is great, but they're also very much praising the director, Shaka King, for his vision for this film, saying that he executed in a way that was expertly crafted. Behind those two, I think Soul is having a lot harder time getting a nomination. Hasn't got many precursors as far as Best Picture or Screenplay wise. It hasn't showed up anywhere. So I think it'll definitely have a tougher time getting in there, but there's still a chance it will. Behind that, Da 5 Bloods has always been hovering around that spot. It's been unfortunate to see. It's been snubbed in a few places, but also gotten some nominations that weren't expected. So we don't know yet. Looking forward to see what happens, but everything else I don't think really has a chance. For Best Director all season, I've been on David Fincher's side, but after seeing what Mank has done overall, I think that it's about time I say that Chloe Zhao should be the winner. I enjoyed that film better than Mank, and I think her direction's better, but Mank was such a baity film, I thought that it would be it for a while, but I think people have come over the bait. I think people are seeing past it a little more. Aaron Sorkin could also still snag this win because, again, it's a two-horse race for Best Picture. I think it will be the same for Director, as people might say. He was the one who brought Trial of Chicago 7 to life, both on the page and then on the screen. Much better than his performance in Molly's Game. Behind that, I think Emerald Fennell is the one who also has a better chance of winning than I think David Fincher at this point. She's getting a lot of precursors everywhere. She's been crushing it, the Critics' Choice. At some of the precursors, she got the Golden Globe nom. And I think she's not a lock for a nomination. However, I think she's the best one after Aaron Sorkin and Chloe Zhao to get the win. Because at this point, I just don't see David Fincher winning. Mank just doesn't seem like that kind of film. It does seem like a director film. It seems like the kind of film they nominate him for, and that's why I think he's a lock for a nomination. However, I just could really not see him getting the win for this movie. For the fifth slot, it's a lot more open. I think Lee Isaac Chung has the best chance for Minari. He's been getting a lot of praise for that movie. Minari's been doing very well at precursors. But it could easily go to someone like Regina King, who got the Golden Globe nomination. And it could also go to someone like Spike Lee or Florian Zeller or even Shaka King for his Judas and Black Messiah work. George C. Wolfe is still on the outskirts as a person who has a chance of getting it. Same with Paul Greengrass, but I just don't see either of those happening. I really think it would be between Lee Isaac Chung and Regina King for the last slot, but we'll have to see. Alright, let's move on to Best Actress. For Best Actress, there are 4 locks. Carey Mulligan, Frances McDormand, Viola Davis, and Vanessa Kirby. All four of those, I think, are pretty much guaranteed to get nominations. They've been nominated all their precursors, and I think everyone's kind of agreed those are the top four. Now, out of those four, who I think has the best chance would be Carey Mulligan. I think she's my winner right now. I've said Viola Davis in the past, but after seeing Ma Rainey, I think she plays almost second fiddle to Chadwick Boseman. And I don't know if it's a strong enough performance and as captivating a performance as the Academy will want to give Viola her second Oscar. I would say the same for Frances McDormand, as it would be her third Oscar. It's a great performance, but it has a lot more subtlety than a lot of the other ones. Carey Mulligan's performance is very much in your face, impactful, very well done. I could sort of see that approach with Vanessa Kirby, but I think she's a lot less of a name, and giving her first win or her first nomination would be pretty shocking. That's why I think Carey Mulligan's my winner. Promising Young Woman's been getting a lot of praise. That's why I've put Emerald Fennell in for director. I think she has a chance. I think Promising Young Woman even has an outside chance of winning Best Picture. It's very unlikely, but it has this much of a chance. So that could happen. As far as my fifth slot goes, I think it's between Zendaya and Andra Day at this point. Zendaya has been getting a lot of praise. Even people who don't like Malcolm Marie have been saying she's good in the movie. Andra Day has also gotten 2 precursors. She's gotten the Golden Globe and a Critics' Choice nomination. Both of those are pretty important. I think she has a pretty good chance of getting a nomination, but I think Zendaya might edge her out. I'm putting Zendaya in my 5th slot for now. Outside of that, I really don't see anyone else getting a nomination here. Amy Adams has an outside chance, but I don't think that'll happen. Sophia Loren, people expected her to maybe have a shot. She's been in none of the precursors, so I think that her chances are pretty dead. Same with Kate Winslet, so I think it's just those 6. Maybe Amy Adams. That would be really bad. I don't want that to happen. All right, let's move on to Best Actor. For Best Actor right now, I think it's down to 6 people. The people I have locked right now are Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, and of course Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. As far as the winner goes, I think almost everyone's predicting Chadwick Boseman. I don't see them giving it to Anthony Hopkins or Riz Ahmed. It would probably be Anthony Hopkins if it was another, but I don't think people are expecting that. I think everyone wants to honor Chadwick for his amazing performance and his amazing career. As far as the other slots go, Gary Oldman's been getting all the precursors so far, so I think he's my number 4 right now, as much as I hate to say it. I don't love his performance nearly as much as I do Delroy Lindo, who I currently have as 6th. I don't think he'll get the nomination. I think he has a very good chance to get snubbed because I think Steven Yeun is getting a lot of good campaign hype for Minari. And if people love Minari, like if they nominate Lee Isaac Chung in director, it gets screenplay, gets picture, and all these other things. If Yoon Jun Yoon has a good chance in Minari for supporting actress, I think this could easily happen. And I think Da 5 Bloods is a film overall that they could toss aside, and I think Delroy Lindo might go with him. Even though I love his performance, I think he's probably maybe the best part of that movie. I just think it's going to be really tough to get there. It is between those 2. It's between Steven Yeun. It could be also Gary Oldman. I think Gary Oldman could be snubbed as well. They could easily swap. It's between those 3 for the last 2 slots. Gary Oldman, Steven Yeun, and Delroy Lindo. 2 of those guys will be in the last 2 slots. Riz Ahmed, Anthony Hopkins, Chadwick Boseman, locked. I think signed, sealed, and away for me. Everything else is pretty much not happening. Kingsley Ben-Adir's got none precursors. Even though I loved him in the movie, it's not happening, unfortunately. Yeah, let's move on to Best Supporting Actress. This category is become very confusing. There's been so many different things happening. Helena Zengel got nominated twice, both at the SAGs and at the Globes. Olivia Colman's gotten in everywhere, but Amanda Seyfried also got completely snubbed from the SAGs. The frontrunner got snubbed from the SAGs, which isn't a very good indication. Which is why I think my winner right now is Olivia Colman. I think it's going to be between her and Glenn Close, because I think the Academy will love Glenn Close's performance. I think those 2 are definitely locks overall. I can't lock Amanda Seyfried anymore because she got snubbed from the SAG. That's a little concerning. Yoon Jun Yoon again got snubbed a few places as well. She got in for the SAG, which is very good. She didn't get the Globe, a little bit expected. Globe's been mean to Minari, but yeah, I don't know. I think Yoon Jun Yoon is pretty close to a lock. I think she'll definitely be nominated. Same with Amanda Seyfried. I think she's pretty close. At the end, I think Maria Bakalova was also pretty close to a lock for nomination. But I think she could be one of the people snubbed. It's either going to be her, Amanda Seyfried, or Yoon Jun-yoon, who are swapped out for someone like Helena Zengel or Ellen Bernstein. Ellen Bernstein has not been doing well. She missed both the Globes and the SAG. She did get Critics' Choice, but I don't know. It could easily be Zengel in the last slot over Maria Bakalova. I think they're going to probably nominate one of those two. I'm going to say Maria Bakalova for now, but man, this category has been wild. Let's move on to Best Supporting Actor. This category is more clear than Supporting Actress, but still isn't pretty clear. I think there are 3 locks for sure and a near lock. Daniel Kaluuya, Leslie Odom Jr., and Sacha Baron Cohen seem to be locks. They've been nominated everywhere. Out of those 3, my winner right now is Daniel Kaluuya. I think he's given the most powerful performance of the year. People are praising him over and over for his performance. Yeah, I don't really see anyone. I don't see Sacha Baron Cohen or Leslie Odom Jr. taking it personally. After that, I think Paul Raci is pretty close to a lock. He has missed out on the SAG. He did get the Critics' Choice, very good. He missed on the Globe. So I think he has a less chance, but I think he still has a pretty good chance. For the 5th slot right now, I think I'm going to put Bill Murray. I don't really see the chances of the double nomination for Chadwick. I think it's still pretty likely, but I'm going to say that they give it to Bill Murray. Someone the Academy does enjoy, and I think everyone likes Bill Murray. I think they could easily give Chadwick, though, for the double nomination, but I think Da 5 Bloods could be tossed out of almost every single category. I think it's on the edge for a lot of stuff, and it could just end up not getting any of them. There's still some chances for like Mark Rylance or even Jared Leto, who got nomination at both the SAG and the Globes, which is just wild to see. But I don't think either of those will happen. Mark Rylance maybe if the Trial of Chicago 7 ends up sweeping, but I don't think so. The Trial of Chicago 7 is still my lock. I really don't see anything beating it. It could be Promising Young Woman. It's risen up a lot. I think it's the only one that has a chance of beating it. But I really don't see it happening. But it could. If Minari or Promising Young Woman could overtake the Trial of Chicago 7, for one, Trial of Chicago 7's done. It's not winning Best Picture. But one of those could actually have a shot at winning overall win Best Picture. Probably not happening, though, which is why I still think it's Aaron Sorkin writing. I don't think the Academy can resist it. One of his better scripts. After that, I think Mank probably is still a lock. I think the Academy will think it's smart and witty and it has an ode to old Hollywood. I don't see it not getting it. After that, the 5th slot's a lot more open. People think Soul, I think, is the most likely right now on Gold Derby and such. I just haven't seen it get any nominations anywhere, so I'm kind of thinking it won't happen. Da 5 Bloods, again, I think that movie could be tossed in so many categories that the Academy might just ignore it and say it's not Spike Lee's year. We already gave him an Oscar. We don't need to do this. Which is why I think I have Judas and the Black Messiah as my last slot. People are loving it so far. It hasn't been seen by everyone, but critics love it. The audience at Sundance loves it. And I think it could have a lot of support behind it. And I think the Academy could find it really thrilling. And they have been known to sometimes give, like, thrillers or more action-y movies some screenplay nomination. I mean, Get Out won. It's a vague comparison, but still similar enough, which is why I think it's taking the last slot. Sound of Metal also could maybe, but I don't see that happening. Adapted screenplay, I think, is one of the most cemented categories as far as nominations go. I'm pretty confident all of these will get in. Nomadland, I think, is my winner still. I'm predicting for Best Picture, so I think it'll also get the screenplay and the director. Seems appropriate for a Best Picture winner. One Night in Miami is probably the one that has the next best chance, but I could see the Academy not giving it everything. I don't think it'll give the win here. It might not give Regina King the director nomination. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, again, I think they're too play-like. Same with The Father, they're too play-like. They're too close to the play. There's nothing inventive about them specifically, except maybe the way they approach The Father. I'm not sure if that's much different from the play. But in the last slot, I wanted to give it to I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but I've kind of given up after it missed the critics nomination. So I'm just going to give it to News of the World. It seems like the film that I think has a pretty good chance at Best Picture still, and even the slightest one at Director. So I think it might get tossed this as as a gift, I guess, because I think the people from the Academy will like it. For Best Score, I think there are 6 that are pretty close to all being locks for nominations, but of course one of them has to go. I think Soul is the lock, and I think it's my winner right now. It's pretty close to being the winner overall. It's gotten the most precursors. It's gotten everything. I think that's the one part of the movie people all love, so I think that could certainly be the winner here. After that, I think Ludwig Göransson for Tenet is definitely a lock. I think that after that, I actually don't think anything's completely locked, because I think Trent Reznor Atticus Ross could be snubbed for Mank, because it's a pretty unremarkable score. It's not too memorable except for a couple themes of it, but I don't know if people will really pay attention to that part of the movie. It didn't get nominated at some things, so I don't know if it's going to get it. That's why I'm putting it as my stub right now, which would leave the last 3 slots for James Newton Howard for News of the World. I think the Academy will like that. Alexandre Desplat for The Midnight Sky, because I think the Academy loves him. And Emile Montsouris for Minari, because I think people love Minari, and I think they'll find the score is very well done and pretty memorable. So yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't think anyone's done that before, but I'm going to snub it. I'm going to say it's going to get snubbed. All right, let's move on. For animated feature, I don't want to sound cocky, but I think I've got this all wrapped up, honestly. Pretty much everything I have right now is a lock. Soul, the winner, pretty much locked. Wolfwalkers, the runner-up, has the small chance. Over the Moon, locked. Onward, locked. The last slot is where things are a little more dicey. Croods in the New Age, I think, will get this last slot. It's gotten it at the SAGs and the Critics' Choice, but the Willoughbys is still getting some hype. People say it still has a chance. It's on the BAFTA shortlist. But I don't see it winning. It's gotten like no attention at all. The Croods is just a bigger franchise overall, and when it comes to animated feature, the Academy just nominates the movie that seems to be the most popular. So the more popular one is The Croods New Age, and it's gotten more nominations, so that's my last pick. Alright, let's move on to cinematography. Camera. For best cinematography, I think that Nomadland will get the win. It's between Nomadland and Mank, and I think both of those films are going to have a lot of competition throughout this award season. But I think right now I'm going to give it to Nomadland, because overall I think it's just going to get more love than something like Mank. As far as my other nominees go, I think that Tenet and News of the World both have very good chances. I think they're pretty close to being locks. I wouldn't consider either of them a complete lock, though, because there are a few other films that could get it. For my last slot right now, I have Judas and the Black Messiah, which I think has a pretty good chance. Sean Bobbitt done the cinematography of that. He's been snubbed multiple times, so I think the Academy might owe him one for this, and apparently the cinematography is great. Behind that, Da 5 Bloods has been getting some hype. So is Minari. They both got critics nominations, so they could easily be here, but I could probably see Judas being the one to actually break through in upcoming this award season. Alright, let's move on to best editing. For editing right now, I think the Trial of Chicago 7 has this locked up. I think I've been saying this for a while. Most other predictors have been saying this for a while. The editing is very fast-paced and makes the movie exciting, and it's one of the reasons why the movie's good. Behind that, we have Nomadland, Mank, The Father, and I also have Tenet. The reason I have those movies is, well, Mank is just going to be an awards contender almost all season, and editing's almost an essential thing for Best Picture, which is why I'm a little more worried for stuff like Minari and Probably Seeing a Young Woman, because they don't really have much hype here at all. For The Father, apparently they use specific type of editing in order to put yourselves in the shoes of a person with dementia, aka Anthony Hopkins' character. And Tenet, the editing's very showy, as it has that backwards trend, as all half the people are going backwards, and etc., etc. So I think those two will be the ones that get nominations. News of the World could still get a nomination, and there's a few other films, but right now I think Tenet's the last slot. For production design, I think that Mank still has this locked up to be getting all the nominations. It got the Critics' Choice nomination, pretty important one, and people have been saying that everyone will just fall for the Hollywood nostalgia of creating old Hollywood. Behind that, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom has gotten critics nominations, so And people have been expecting that to get a nomination for its old-timey studio feel, especially since it only takes place in one place. So they're going to give it to that. I think behind that, they're going to give it to Mulan for its large, big sets, very showy ones. Also have News of the World for their recreation of some old Western set pieces. As well as my last slot right now, I have the Midnight Sky for its spaceships and for the Arctic science base kind of stuff. I think that Emma could also get a nomination here, as well as Tenet. I don't see Tenet for production design as much, because even though the sets are large, there aren't really anything too specific about it. Same with Emma. I haven't seen that movie, but I don't know what exactly they nominate it for. Alright, let's move on. For costumes, I think that Mank has the best chance. The costumes at the end are very showy, and you can pay attention to them, and they're very clear in the movie. And again, I think Mank will get a lot of hype for a lot of categories. He'll get a lot of nominations, so I think they might award it in some technical areas. This is one of them. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, though, is very close as well, and I could easily see them giving it to that as well. I just think that the costumes are a little less showy overall, except for, and that's less of a focus because the costumes in Mank are more about who's wearing them rather than Ma Rainey. For the other ones, I think Emma and Mulan are also pretty good locks, especially Emma. It's been getting a lot of hype for its costume design, for its old-timey dresses. That's always something the Academy nominates. And behind that, I also have The Personal History of David Copperfield. Apparently the costumes in that are pretty showy and pretty clear, so I think that could easily show up here as well. Behind that, I also have News of the World. It's been getting some nominations. I believe it got Critics' Choice, so it could easily be here as well. But right now, I'm putting it at my 6th slot because I don't think News of the World overall will get as much love as some people think. For sound, I think there's a good chance it could go to Sound of Metal. It's my prediction right now. It's very clear in the movie. It is one of the things that drives the plot of the movie, so it's very important. It's not as showy as something like Tenet, even though it definitely has problems, but I think there's been enough publicity about it having sound mixing problems that there's no way they give it this award, even though it's very likely they give a nomination. After that, I think Soul has very good sound work, so I think it could easily be here. Same with Mank. Those two, I think, are pretty close to locks. At the end right now, I have News of the World because I think some of the Western sound effects will be very clear in the movie, and I think News of the World is something they could enjoy. And I think sound still would be something to give a nomination to. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom also could be here, but I don't think they'll nominate as much for the music kind of category because there's nothing too specific about it. It's just music. But then again, the Academy just does sometimes nominate movies for music, so we'll have to see. Alright, let's move on. For visual effects, I think it's going to go to Tenet. Now, the visual effects aren't too clear in Tenet, but I think the clear visual effect is the use of practical effects and special effects, which I think the Academy does count as well, because last year they gave it to 1917, and the visual effects there were more practical ones as they created controlled explosions on the set of some of the trenches. So I think they're definitely give it to something like Tenet, which has a ton of practical effects. Behind that, I think Mulan and The Midnight Sky are also pretty close to locks. They have a lot of visual effects. They're pretty big movies, especially The Midnight Sky. It's the space movie. They usually give it to that. Wonder Woman 1984 is the other film I think is going to get it. It got Critics' Choice nomination. It has visual effects, and it's being a big budget movie, has decent visual effects, so I think it's going to be there. In the last, I'm still vying for Sonic the Hedgehog because I think it'd be so funny if it got this nomination, but there are other movies that could take it. Let's move on. For makeup and hairstyling, I think Ma Rainey's Black Bottom will take this one. It's very clear. The makeup on Viola Davis is very clear on how they created the physical transformation of her, so I think they'll get the win. Mank is probably also very likely to compete in this category. I think it's a lock for a nomination. I'm not sure if it'll win. Hillbilly Elegy got the Critics' Choice nomination. I think it's one of the only ones it got other than Glenn Close for supporting actress, so I think they'll also nominate at the Oscars. Birds of Prey is also one that could get in here. It has a lot of clear, forward, and kind of fresh hairstyle, so I think it'll be here as well. United States vs. Billie Holiday has also been getting praise. I believe it also got the Critics' Choice nomination, so I think it could easily be here at the Oscars. Alright, let's move on to Best Original Song. For Best Original Song, I think everyone's locking in Speak Now for the win from One Night in Miami. Leslie Odom Jr.'s song is very integral to the plot of the movie and brings it all home together in the end, so I think that was one the Academy will want to get the win for. Scene from The Life Ahead is going to be one that I think is also pretty close to a lock. I think I'd say it's a lock for a nomination for song. Right now, the Hear My Voice from the Charles Chicago 7 has been getting some nominations, so I think that will be there as well. The other one I think is pretty close to a lock is Rocket to the Moon from Over the Moon. I think if Over the Moon gets an animation nomination, they'll probably likely nominate it here. As well as the music from the Judas and the Black Messiah by Her. I think it will be here as well because it's a very celebrated artist. They performed at the Super Bowl, and their song has been getting nominations at both the Globes and the Critics' Choice. Alright, let's move on to Best Documentary. Best one. For Best Documentary, it's been going all over the place. There's not been a single film that's been nominated everywhere except for Dick Johnson Is Dead. However, I think most people don't view that as a film important enough to get the Oscar win, but it's definitely a lock for nomination. Right now I'm going to give it the time. It's been getting nominated in most places, and I think it's going to be a film and documentary. It's very well done, and I think it's one that people find important. Behind that right now I have All In, The Fight for Democracy. This hasn't got as many nominations as the previous two or as much acclaim, but I think it'll still have a pretty good chance. It's definitely not a lock. Everything after this isn't a lock, I'd say. Crib Camp, though, I think is pretty close to a lock. It's closer to a lock than All In for The Fight for Democracy. The only reason I have that one higher is because I think it has a better chance of a win if it does get nominated. For the fifth slot, I still think they'll give to Boy State. It won the Sundance Film Grand Jury Prize. I think most people like to have seen it. I think it's a very good American documentary, so I think Americans will nominate it. Behind that right now I have Truffle Hunters. It's been getting a lot of acclaim from Sony Pictures Classic and has been one that apparently some people have seen and say is great. But we'll have to see. There are a few other documentaries I have listed here that have a shot, but I think those are the ones that have the best. For Best International Feature, I think Another Round is almost a lock for the win at this point. Unless Minari somehow sneaks into this category, which I'm pretty sure the Oscars rules ban, I think it's definitely going to be it. Kuwait Ida is also a lock for nomination, I think. It's been showing up in most awards ceremonies, so I think it'll be there as well. La Llorona is one that's been getting a lot of nominations as well. I don't think it's a lock, but I think it's pretty close. Night of Kings and Collectives are the other two that have been praised a lot by critics. Both got Critics' Choice nominations, so I could easily see both coming here. I have a list of a few others that people have been saying have chances, but I think Another Round is the clear winner. Kuwait Ida is pretty much locked for a nomination, as well as those probably have the best as getting a nomination. Alright, let's move on to Best Animated Short. For Best Animated Short, I think If Anything Happens I Love You is still my lock for the win. It's been getting the most praise throughout the ceremony, even though there hasn't been a lot of nominations for it yet, as there has been award ceremonies that have given out award for Best Animated Short. I think it's still the one that has the best chance, and it's something that they can throw Netflix if they decide to give it to Nomadland instead. Burrow from Pixar, I think, will have a good chance, as I think a lot of people have seen that along with Soul when it released on Christmas Day. Cops and Robbers from Netflix is another one that I think people will find as an important short animated film, so I think they'll throw that one as well. Out from Pixar is one of their Spark shorts. I think they'll throw it, maybe one of those, unless some of the festival ones come up. Again, I don't really have any of the festival ones here because I haven't seen any of them or heard of any of them. Then we have the BAFTA winner from last year, Granddad Was a Romantic. I think this qualifies for Oscars. I'm not even 100% sure, but I've heard of it, which is why I have it on this list. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I really appreciate you guys listening to my Oscar predictions. I'm sorry I didn't have them last month, but I have them this month, and I'll continue to have them until the Oscars come, and yeah, that'll be really exciting. I'll make sure to have reactions. Make sure to go check out my associate channel, Dead Film Critics Society, where me and my friend Aiden do reactions to some of the award ceremonies. We most recently did one to the Critics' Choice nomination, and we'll probably be doing ones for the PGA, all the associations, as well as the winners of the Golden Globes, and of course, the Oscar nominations. So make sure to go check that out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.